On this episode of Earthling Entertainment, we will be exploring the topic of voodoo. While the goal of our podcast is to delight and amuse our listeners, we recognize that this may be a sensitive subject to some. Despite common misconceptions, voodoo is a real Afro Haitian religion with origins in West African traditions. The hosts of the show are not of African descent, nor do they claim to be experts in the field. However, a sincere attempt has been made to separate the fact from the fiction and the sensible from the sensational. Remember, this is all in fun. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hey guys, I'm your host who just had his first cup of coffee, Joe Wakefield.
And I got this little doll that looks just like Joe.
Ow! Ow! Quit poking that dang thing! Well, you may have figured it out. This is our voodoo episode.
Yes.
One of those bottle episodes where we're all focused on one topic. Everything today is going to be all voodoo.
That's right.
But let's start out by saying, hey, to our listeners who are returning. Hey guys, thanks.
Welcome back.
You know, with these bottle episodes, there are going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a trivia game. We'll even have an audio drama on this one. But first, we have our normal sections, which is, of course, spooky stuff. Now, I might be going a little too fast for those of you who have not actually listened to the show before. So you might be wondering, what is this show about? What is this podcast?
What is it, Joe?
Oh, I'm going to tell them.
I know you will.
What we do here normally is a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy. Sometimes it's cryptozoology. Other times it's a haunting, a myth, or a legend. But it's always spooky.
Oh my God.
And that is in our first section called Spooky Stuff.
Huh.
That is, of course, followed by Disclosure Discussion, which is all about aliens.
Hey, I'm just asking questions, usually like UFO stories, UFO videos, or photos. That's the kind of thing that we talk about in Disclosure Discussion.
That's right. If it's not terrestrial, if it's extraterrestrial,
That's right.
it's in that section.
Yep.
Then the second part of the show, the latter half, if you will, is all dedicated to pop culture and entertainment. Sometimes we have celebrity guests. Other times we do trivia games or audio dramas. We usually have some kind of genre news. We talk about celebrity deaths. It's all pop culture all the time. And then those two sections of the show, our first half, which is the spooky, and our second half, which is the entertainment, come together to form the delicious Oreo of a podcast known as Earthling Entertainment. Welcome.
Welcome indeed.
So, new listeners, that whole spiel is what we normally do. But like I mentioned earlier, this is one of those bottle episodes.
That's right.
You could tell what these are is because there's always 3 words in the title, and it's always Earthlings, something, the topic. Like last week's episode was Earthlings endorse Bigfoot. We had Earthlings go west. We had Earthlings on Mars. So you can kind of get when these are coming up. This one's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm pretty excited. What about you, Ryan?
Oh, I am too. Voodoo is something that I don't know, I always grew up, thinking about it because when you were a kid, it was so real. And like, I remember people would do like the shrunken heads with like potatoes. Do you remember that? Where
I think it was apples for
Was
me,
it?
where you carved an apple head and it would shrink.
Yeah, I think for us it was potatoes, and then like you could color it up and stuff, and then when it shrunk,
Isn't that like South American Headhunter?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's voodoo, but I get what you're saying. The mysticism of the creepy, like the skulls, the heads, the bones.
Right, Beetlejuice when the guy sprinkles the dust on his head and
Well,
he shrinks down, because he was the voodoo doctor looking guy.
He did, yeah.
That was cool. And I remember playing an old game called Hugo Goes to the Jungle, and there was a whole thing with voodoo sorcery going on in the game. That was one of those old games where you had to like type out like use the blowgun on the elephant. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like it was old school.
It's funny because our idea of voodoo when we're kids is all informed by pop culture, and it's all informed by cartoons and movies, and it's all pretty much kind of wrong,
Right.
To be fair. I think of it like Wicca, right? So the Wiccan religion, nature-based religion, they do their thing. But then you have witches, which is what it was turned into. When you see movies and you see the cauldron and the green skin and everything like
Yes.
that. You know, actual practicing Wiccans are like, yeah, that's not really how it is. And it's the same with voodoo.
Right.
I mean, I
But
think like 90% of Haitian people practice voodoo.
oh, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's a major religion. I know in Benin, I think if that's the right way to pronounce it, that's their official religion.
Wow. I mean, coming from someone who basically liked magic growing up and kind of did a little bit of dabbling into all of these
Yeah.
of these religions, voodoo's got some fun stuff. But what's weird is, you know, you can direct a lot of things from the misconceptions of voodoo, like the movie White Zombie, which we'll talk about later. But
Yeah.
that pretty much was the first zombie film, which was later, you know, look at what zombies have become. A
Right.
huge cultural icon.
Right.
Ah,
And that
interesting.
and that one was the voodoo style of zombies, or it was like voodoo
Yeah.
was what made them zombies and stuff.
And then later they turned to undead flesh-eating monsters. You
Yep.
know, but just to stick with our theme, that's actually why we're doing a Tattered Tales at the end of the show,
Yep.
is because that is a zombie Tattered Tales, and it kind of fits with our whole voodoo theme.
Oh, and it's gonna be a good one too. I don't know. Do you want to just jump into it?
I think we should. Let's go, guys. You ready for this week's spooky stuff?
Voodoo, or more traditionally spelt with the U at the end with voodoo, is so much more than magic and devilry. It is a religion like any other, with a set of beliefs developed through a melding of Roman Catholicism and the teachings of West African culture. Voodoo has roots in the African slave trade, specifically the Fan, Congo, and Yoruba people, ferried to Hispaniola as early as the 16th century. The core belief of New Orleans voodoo is that one God does not interfere with daily lives, but that spirits do. Connection with these spirits can be obtained through various rituals such as dance, music, chanting, and snakes.
I like the snakes part. I got to be honest.
Yep.
Just the whole jumping around with snakes is it's in my head of every single time a movie wants to show like it doesn't matter Christianity,
You're right.
voodoo, anytime they're like these religious people are a little crazy. They're like let's dance with snakes.
Give them a snake.
Give 'em a snake.
The most known voodoo practitioners are the Iwa, who perform rituals centered around effigies. These spiritual objects were thought to help manipulate weather and specified events to produce a desired outcome. This practice was not too different from praying to the Catholic God, and it carried over seamlessly from voodoo.
Yeah, effigies are in many religions. I mean, technically, if you think about it, holding a little cross of Jesus is
Yeah.
you're holding an effigy. It's the same thing.
100%. So, under this new faith, the effigies became known as Voodoo-Dolls. Hollywood paints voodoo dolls as sinister tools of vengeance, haunted dolls that are used for malicious intent, spiritual torture devices that allow the user to enact revenge on virtually anyone, no matter where they are.
I mean, it's a pretty enticing weapon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about like the government trying to figure out like how we psychically attack, you know, people in different countries, and you see Stranger Things, things like that. Forget that. Forget all the psychic stuff. If you just simply have a voodoo down, you're just like, hey, that leader of that country I don't like. Now you have gout, mother trucker.
I hope you like your new skin rash
Yeah.
with the prick of a pin. The magic of voodoo manifests the pain of being stabbed in the individual the doll represents. As this person tumbles forward, clawing at the deluge of pinpricks assaulting their body, they feel a devilish cackle escape their throat. Does this mystical power allow you to do the impossible and manifest venomous hate towards your most wretched foe?
I mean, maybe. You could also do good things. You could, you know, stab him in the heart and be like, oh, now you have money.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah. No more erectile dysfunction for you, Gary.
Ow!
Yeah.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Everything's working nice now.
I mean, ow! Thanks.
Yeah.
Little changed about the creepy dolls themselves. And though movies and television may have popularized their use as a mystical weapon, they are actually tools for healing, like Joe said, and communicating with those in the realm of the dead.
I mean, I get it. I've talked to my action figures a lot, and I'm just looked over and be like, so, Dad, what's up?
Yep.
My wife walks in. She's like, she's talking to Leonardo again. That damn Ninja Turtle.
Oh,
It's not
man.
your dad, Joe. You need a hug. Go to therapy.
I totally don't have a bunch of Star Wars dolls around my computer
Huh?
that I
Yeah.
don't talk to.
Yeah.
The traditional dolls are
So
far.
you're praying to Obi-Wan.
Who wouldn't pray to Obi-Wan?
I
I heard
mean-
that was a common misconception of him and Jesus.
He did look very Jesus-y as time went on.
Wasn't there a meme where like a guy went to his grandma's house and literally she found a picture of and thought it was Jesus and she framed it and
Oh.
like put it up
Yeah, because if we're talking Attack of the Clones era, he had the long hair and
and the beard.
is pretty Jesus-y.
Yeah, and he's Obi-Wan, so pretty close.
So on this voodoo episode, I want to be clear. We've determined that Obi-Wan is Jesus. Staying on topic. That's what we're doing, Ryan.
Hello there. The traditional dolls are far more simplistic. They start with two sticks tied together in a cross-like shape. This represents the human form, with the shorter top and sides and head being the head and arms. These sticks are then covered with a triangular cutout of bright fabric stuffed with Spanish moss. Black was commonly used for the head, giving the doll a rather eerie appearance that may have lent to the assumed nefarious nature of the dolls.
I mean, the button eyes always remind me of like Coraline. But before buttons, what do you think?
I think it was just stitched X's, wasn't it?
I guess that
like,
makes
yeah.
sense.
The best way to learn about voodoo dolls and their mystical powers is to head to the source. New Orleans is the center of religion in the United States. Marie Laveau's house, the New Orleans Voodoo Museum, the Congo Square are all key locations in this weaving story.
Yeah, what was that woman's name again?
Marie Laveau.
Yeah, she was huge voodoo priestess in the early turn of the century, right?
Right, and I might be mispronouncing that because I'm pretty sure it's like French, so it's like probably Levay or something like that. But I'm going to say Laveau. Marie Laveau exercised the most power in their communities, leading the dancing rituals and congregation meetings.
Ah, the snake woman.
That's right. When they weren't serving the spirits, they were selling trinkets that would soon become emblems of their faith. Gris-gris charms or gris-gris charms, magical powers, and other spells were soon for sale and worn by powerful women of African and Creole descent despite the simultaneous existence of slavery. Legend has it politicians, lawyers, and powerful businessmen traveled to her home for a consultation on their decisions. But Laveau also saw the poor and the enslaved, tending to favor those less fortunate and supposedly helping them run away with elusive charms.
I get it, man. If there's, you think about it. You're a politician. It's early 1900s, late 1800s, whatever it was, and you just hear about, there's a woman down in the bayou who will help you,
Yeah.
guide you with some mystic information, point you in the right direction. I mean, that sounds so mysterious and fun. The world of the today and the internet and how we live is great and all, but I like a little mystery in the world, and the idea of being able to just find the magic person like off in a weird land that's totally different and foreign from yours. I like it. We should go on a quest, Ryan.
I was going to say it's story tale. You know what I mean? It's like it's a tale as old as time, big rulers meeting with the seers. That goes back to Greek mythology and stuff like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So, a hairdresser by day, she encouraged her followers to attend Catholic Mass, solidifying the synchronized nature of the religion, and eventually rose above the other voodoo leaders of New Orleans. Laveau truly represented voodoo as it was, as it evolved, and how it was practiced in the West, at least to this day. Not all followers of the voodoo religion, however, are using their magic for healing. Some have used it for evil.
I mean, yeah. If you got magic, it's kind of like having a sword. You might not stab your neighbor, or you might. Some people are good, some people are bad. If you got magic, you might use it to be a jerk.
Yeah, anything in the wrong hands, right?
Yeah.
And this one certainly was the wrong hands. Adolfo Constanzo was a cult leader, serial killer, and practitioner of an offshoot of Haitian voodoo.
Not too bad of an ass either.
He couldn't not do it, folks. In the 1980s, he gave psychic readings and worked magic for dangerous drug cartels and hitmen. He'd cast spells to bring luck, curse enemies, and was somehow able to keep his clients from getting busted. His rituals involve the sacrifices of chickens, goats, snakes, and even humans.
Rough.
Constanzo finally overstepped when his followers kidnapped an affluent American student named Mark Kilroy to use as a sacrifice. Police began.
Hold on. Before, I want you
Yeah,
to restart that, but I have a question. If you found yourself being a human sacrifice, you're sitting there, you're lying on the altar, there's someone above you holding a knife, they're about to stab it into your heart, there's nothing you can do. You are a sacrifice. Would you want to know what you were being sacrificed for? And would it matter? Would you be more comfortable if they're like, hey, bro, we're doing this, but, world peace? Or if it's just like, Gary's got, this rash on his butt and he needs to get like, would it matter to you? Because you're getting killed either way.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that nah, it doesn't matter the why. Just don't, please.
I mean, I don't want to be sacrificed. Don't misunderstand, Ryan. But like, if it's like the movie Cabin in the Woods, and the entire world is going to be destroyed by eldritch gods if I'm not sacrificed. I'm about to die anyways. At least tell me that. And then after I'm stabbed and after I die, you could be like, all right, Gary, that butt rash, you'll be fine.
I'll probably take that bet. I'll take that bet. I'll be like, nah, don't kill me. We'll see. You say the world's end when? When's it ending? I'll wait. I got time.
Yeah, Ryan's the guy at the end of that movie, just like, screw it.
Yep.
Let's watch it all burn. Anyways, so they found a student and they were trying to sacrifice.
Yes.
Continue. Yeah,
yes. Named Mark Kilroy, and they tried to use him as a sacrifice, but police began tracking Kilroy and eventually found Constanzo's base of operations. When his ranch of horrors was finally raided by police, they uncovered 15 mutilated corpses and Kilroy's dismembered body. Constanzo was so determined to stay out of prison that he ordered one of his followers to shoot him.
Wow.
So that was the end of the story of Constanzo.
I mean, I guess that's rough. What'd you say? They raided his what?
His base of operations when his ranch of horrors was finally raided by police.
Right. So what I'm saying is we should open a brothel and have it voodoo themed and call it the
ranch of horrors.
There you go, Ryan.
I'm just saying that could be misconstrued. Everyone's going to be like the ranch of horrors. Oh, I can't wait.
That's the joke.
So, in West Africa, the voodoo religion is estimated to be practiced by over 30 million people. The Voodoo became the official religion of Benin in 1996. So it's pronounced Voodoo over there.
There's so many weird variations. There was voodoo, then there's the voodoo with the VOUDOU, and then there was hoodoo. I've heard hoodoo.
I have as well. And then then there's this one.
I mean, I feel like, and I could be wrong here, I'm not saying this is a fact, but to me it's kind of like there's Christianity and then there's Baptist and then there's,
Protestant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing where it's like we're all very similar, but, different a little.
That's right. Yeah. So today, voodoo remains in practice to serve others and influence life events in connection with ancestors and spirits. Rituals are usually held privately, but there are various places that will give you a reading or assist in a ritual. The Voodoo Spiritual Temple in New Orleans is the only formally established voodoo temple located across the street from Congo Square.
I wonder if they have tax exempt. Like, they're a real religion, right? So, yeah, they get that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
totally.
Nice.
You may feel a chill as you walk New Orleans' storied streets, see a shadow flicker out of the corner of your eye, or hear a distant sound of a drumbeat. That is the spirit of voodoo, an indelible part of the city's soul, whispering its bone-chilling tales from a world unseen.
You know what I was thinking about that whole time when we're talking about how it's an actual religion?
Yeah.
Is what is the process to convert? Like, if you wanted to convert to be a voodoo practice, like, or do you just start doing it? Because kind of like Wicca, you read books, you'll have someone who's teaching you, and you could just kind of do it. There's no authority saying that you can or can't join the religion. Whereas if you were trying to convert to Judaism, there's a whole lot of steps to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to do. So I'm wondering, like, where does voodoo fall? Like, do you just start practicing voodoo? Because I feel like as someone of my upbringing, I wouldn't be accepted in that world. So
I don't know.
what if I went to a voodoo priest or priestess? Is there like some kind of like apprenticeship? I don't.
I
I'm
mean,
just
maybe.
curious.
Like, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because it's a whole practice. Like, yeah, it's definitely something you should probably ask a professional.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be doing voodoo rituals. You're messing with stuff you don't understand.
Well,
you
I
know?
feel like I mean, yeah, you could say the same thing about any magical practice.
I do.
Fair
And
enough.
I do.
Ryan's not one doing light as a feather, hard as what, stiff as a board.
Hard as a rock.
Hard as a fucking rock. Same thing.
And I won't be lighting the black flame candle.
Ah, yes.
I mean,
Can we talk about that real quick? In Hocus Pocus, they say that the black flame candle was made from like the fat of a hung man and a bunch of other gross stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the sequel, that unassuming like African American character who's really nice, he's like, "Oh yeah, I just made a candle." So you got a candle from like he had bodies. That's the only way that gentleman could have made that candle.
That's wild. I didn't think about that. And what's funny is I loved Hocus Pocus 2.
I'm very surprised.
I actually loved that
There
movie.
was a 30-minute commercial for Walgreens in that movie.
There totally was a 30-minute commercial. Like, Walgreens. Like, they literally said it in the script. Like,
Several times and spent a lot of time of that film was in a Walgreens.
it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, what can you do? What can you do?
Voodoo.
Voodoo.
Well, that's all we have for this week's spooky stuff. And we actually don't have a disclosure discussion. We tried, but there was no real way we could connect aliens to voodoo at all.
It was, we tried.
It was a real stretch. Even like at the last minute, I'm like, okay, I have to have some idea that I can connect this to aliens. And I watched an old Ancient Alien episode called like Aliens and the Undead, which the internet said had a voodoo portion. And it just talked about zombies and had nothing to do with aliens. And I'm like, well, we're already talking about zombies.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we tried. We looked it up. I mean, there are some UFO sightings that have happened in New Orleans, but actually on the grand scale, it's quite less than the rest of the country.
Yeah, and we were really trying to figure it out. We're like, okay, well, the bayous, the swamps, maybe there's
Right.
an alien thing about the swamps. And then for a while, we were talking about doing the swamp gas story with Project
Right.
Blue Book, and but that happened in Michigan. Like
Yeah.
now we're talking about a Michigan swamp. That has nothing to do with voodoo.
Therefore, yes, we beg your pardon that there will not be a disclosure discussion today. But like I said, if you look it up, New Orleans has had UFO sightings, so it has happened.
It has. But we're just gonna take a big old skip to the next section. And I know that's a little weird.
It is.
Some things in life are weird.
They are.
In fact, this next segment is
Real World Weird.
Woman spotted stabbing a voodoo doll at the Super Bowl held in Louisiana. This comes to us from 1033thegoat.com. I don't know why I had to give that stank. Something
because it's a radio.
Right,
when you have
yeah.
a radio station, you got to like
The
WXYZ, the yellow dart.
I had to.
Yeah.
Something strange happened at the Super Bowl last year. It seems as though some fans will go the distance to give their team an advantage, and one woman in the Caesars Superdome the Caesars Superdome, I like the name, was spotted using a voodoo doll during the last Super Bowl of last year. A video on social media shows the fan with a small doll in her possession that resembled the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. And she is seen stabbing the doll with a pin while watching the game.
It's kind of awesome, right? Like, how ballsy is that? But I don't know. I just think it's funny. Like,
She
just
looks
sit there-
serious.
Yeah,
I watched the video.
She's like, "Meh."
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, she's just doing it like over and over and over and over and over. Like that's scary.
You got to cross cut it with shots of the guy being like, "Ow!"
Dude, that would prove that voodoo's real.
Like, what the hell?
Like, all of a sudden, he just Security to get into the Superdome was very tight on this night, and we have no clue how she got this doll into the dome.
I mean, do you have to hide a little doll? Like, you just put it in your pocket, you take it out, you put it in the tray. When you walk through the metal detectors, they're not going to be like, "Hey,
Do you
What's
have
that-
a voodoo doll?
what's that little stuffed doll there?"
Let me
You're
see
not allowed
that.
to bring that in.
Give me that.
Yeah. It's fine. Pocket knife, fine. Lighter, fine. Can opener, fine. Yeah, machete, cool.
This
What?
one's got a voodoo doll.
Little
Chill.
stuffed doll. Stop it, that chick.
But perhaps she had something to do with the Chiefs' dreadful performance on that Sunday evening in New Orleans. We all know that New Orleans can be a haunting place, and some claim that voodoo in the city is real. So perhaps this fan used it to her advantage on Super Bowl Sunday. Whatever the case may be, this woman was really going in on this doll like she knew what she was doing. We have to ask if she had something to do with one of Patrick Mahomes' worst games in his career. He never looked like himself in that game. Something did not work out for him. Was it the fan? Regardless of what you might believe, the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. So at this point, you might be asking yourselves, how do I get a hold of a voodoo doll in order to smite my various enemies?
I mean, how?
How? Well, that's just what we're going to talk about in our next segment.
Oh! Seamless transition, my friends.
That's
Seamless
right.
transition.
That's right. You can't see not a line. Not a line. Arts and crafts time! Hooray! Let's make a voodoo doll. This comes to us from truehauntings.com. The first thing you need to do before touching any supplies at all is decide on what is your intention for the doll. Who do you want the doll to represent? What do you want to accomplish with the doll? The religion of voodoo is very similar to other religions such as Wicca in that it centers around a practitioner's intentions. Just because you want the doll to represent a certain person or yourself doesn't mean it has to resemble them. Your doll can be as plain or elaborate as you wish. So it doesn't even have to look like them.
No, it's about your energies and your intention and your like will behind it. It's kind of like the Green Lantern ring, Ryan, is your will is what powers it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You will need cloth, or in this case, felt, embroidery thread for sewing, sharp scissors for cutting through the felt, buttons for the eyes, or any other embellishments that you wish to use on your doll.
I like stickers.
Good idea. I'll put on a Slayer sticker, a Slayer patch. That's what I'll do.
Oh, I like it.
You'll also want to decide on what herb you want in the chest pouch and what you want to stuff your doll with.
That's where the magic comes from, people.
The chest pouch is meant to hold the herb in the center of the doll so that you can puncture it with your pin and activate your desired intention with each puncture. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So here's a list of herb ideas for your chest pouch.
So we want to point out that there's a lot of like malevolent things that, voodoo dolls can supposedly do. This is a list of like the beneficial herbs. I looked and there was, maybe it's probably a good idea, kind of like Googling how to like make a crazy weapon. They don't have a easily defined list of like the bad stuff.
So the first one right off the bat, chamomile, sleeping money.
I'll take some
Dude,
money.
I'll stuff my chest full of that. Rosebuds are prophetic dreams.
Okay, I can't lie. I really, really, really want to see like the future events in a dream. How cool would that be? But
I don't know.
would you be able to trust it? I mean, you're dreaming, right? So you got to think that no matter how real it was, that it was coming from your subconscious. But also, how often do you remember like fine details about a dream?
Not often.
So what if you have like the most pathetic dream ever? You know what's going to happen. You could, bet on the Super Bowl or like change world governments or do something good or know how to talk to, but you just forget every morning.
Well,
like, you wake up, damn it.
but that's weird ground because you have to ask the question, are these prophetical dreams what will happen or what may happen or could happen?
Well, once you try to make something happen or stop something from happening, your actions being aware of that thing may cause it, right?
Right.
That's the whole you can't escape destiny, son.
Yeah. Well, I don't like that. I think that you could steer the boat a bit.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so.
All right. Well, maybe the rose isn't good for you then.
So do you want love and beauty, Joe? Then you need catnip.
Not what I would have thought.
How about just straight up wealth? Jasmine.
Huh. There you go.
Penny Royal removes curses. so that's good.
What is it?
Pennyroyal.
Do you know what pennyroyal is?
I remember that Nirvana sang it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Pennyroyal Tea.
Yeah, all right.
I want to say that was a cover. I don't think they wrote it. I think that was a cover of someone.
Well, I mean, that helped them in that way, did it not?
Yeah, I want to say it was on the live one that they did at MTV, the Unplugged. Mistletoe wards off night terrors. So that's a useful one.
Yeah.
Mandrake for fertility.
Okay.
Black salt keeps negativity from the target of the doll. So wait a minute, keeps negativity away from the target of the doll.
Yeah.
So that'll protect.
So just well, all those things are beneficial, but
Yeah.
like, you want to experiment with different things? Like, they didn't have nutmeg in there. What would nutmeg do? Screw that. What would you just put if you found just straight up marijuana?
I was about to
Yeah,
say,
if
what
you-
about cannabis?
Yeah, if you just put it in there and you stab.
And then you're just high.
No, see, that would be obvious, right? But since catnip is not,
It's like Love and Beauty.
yeah, well, since that's that. So what if pot was just like, you stab it and you're like, I'm hungry. like,
I mean, that tracks.
yeah, that does.
That tracks.
Yeah. Or
So-
just like stab it. It's like, oh, weird. My eyesight has just improved greatly.
So
like,
you
marijuana
definitely be
for
careful.
eyesight. Okay.
I'd say definitely tread lightly and be careful when you're experimenting with new herbs in the chest pouch because, yeah, who knows what you're going to do?
Yeah, what if you just put something in there? Because we talked about bad stuff too. You just put in, I don't know, black pepper. You stab it and suddenly you just poop. You just poop yourself.
That could be useful,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Actually.
That's like a medical thing. You go to the doctor. Oh man, I'm backed up. All right, well, let's make a little voodoo doll and
And,
stab this when you're on the toilet.
It's like we never knew. Just grab some normal grass from your front lawn and put it in the chest pouch, and make sure you're sitting on the toilet when you do this.
Yeah, dandelion cures herpes.
My goodness
Just
gracious.
try.
Who knew? So now that we've got some of the ideas of some herbs, there are some stuffing ideas for your doll. They include, but are not limited to, cotton, moss, scraps of clothing belonging to your target, or hair from your target.
I think hair is the most badass. That seems
You need a lot to stuff a doll, right? Like, I guess as
So-
long as it's in there. like-
Ryan, you're gonna wake up and suddenly your hair's gonna be cut into a bob, and you're gonna be like, "Damn it! Someone's making a voodoo doll of me." I know it.
This always happens.
Every time.
Every time.
Gotta quit growing out your hair, man. This
Dude,
is really on you.
I don't understand it. Tell you what, but you know, what can you do? So, trace a bipedal humanoid figure on your cloth.
Step one.
Cut it out. Then use it as a stencil to trace an identical figure on the other piece of cloth. Once you cut out that one, you'll have both of your sides. Ultimately, you're going to sew these two sides together and stuff them to make your doll. But first, take another piece of cloth and draw a simple oval for your chest pouch. When you draw your chest pouch, make sure it is large enough to stuff with herbs, but small enough to fit inside the chest of your doll once the doll is sewn. Give in a little extra room on each side of the chest where the seams will be so the chest pouch fits inside nicely along with stuffing around it. So you need stuffing all the way around it.
Yeah, essentially you're placing that little herb pouch right where the human heart would go in our chest. So kind of centered, kind of on the upper part, you know.
Make sure you decorate the doll with a heart shape on the outside placed directly over the inner herb pouch. This gives you a place to aim when stabbing your doll later.
Plus, it looks kind of cool. You get a little voodoo doll with a little heart on him. I mean, it makes sense.
He loves you.
It's classic.
At this time, you can decorate it however you like. Give it a face and perhaps add any distinguishing features from your intended target. Now you can meditate with your doll, or you can stick it through the herbs with a pin to activate whatever intentions you instilled in it during the creating process.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Exactly. Sit back, do a couple and then go stabby, 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 stabby. Next thing you know, your buddy's rich. You're welcome.
And he's sleeping great.
Yeah. And no more erectile dysfunction. We have solved it.
Thank you, Joe. It should be noted that only an initiated voodoo practitioner has the true right to use such objects as dolls or potions or other tools of the religion. If you choose to make your own doll, understand that it will not be a true voodoo doll because you are not a true practitioner of the religion.
unless you find a voodoo priest and you convert. There's got to be a process, Ryan.
I assume that there has to be.
I want it to be a full on, like, you have to stand in front of the other practitioners, open up a voodoo book and read in an old language. It's almost like your bar mitzvah for voodoo, man.
And you just got to like hang out with a snake like a lot. Like you just have your snake on you at all times.
You got
Okay, welcome to voodoo. Here's your snake.
Yep, there you go.
Like this is basically how you're going to get into the building. It's like an ID badge. Like,
oh, that's even funnier. You wrap it around their neck, and then you have them bite the end of their tail and a little card, and it's straight up a little lanyard.
Nice.
Yeah, we have snake lanyards.
I like it. It's kind of like that symbol for health, the snake eating its tail.
Ooh, perfect.
Yeah.
So, guys, I hope we helped you out when it comes to making your own voodoo doll.
Have fun with it. Be careful.
It. We're not necessarily endorsing it. We're simply saying this is what you could do if you chose to.
I mean, I took some notes down. I don't know about you, Joe. I could use some sleep. I could use some wealth.
And with that, guys, we're done with part 1.
We're done with part 1.
Well, gee, wasn't it fun?
It was fun.
That was my pun. All right.
Now I'm going to run.
All right. That was fucking stupid.
I guess we're done.
Coming June 7th, 2025, it's the 3rd annual Cryptids and Paranormal Conference held at Our House. With guest speakers Ronnie LeBlanc, Expedition Bigfoot, paranormal researcher Lyle Blackburn, ghost hunter Ron Iacovetti, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and from Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler. That's June 7th, 2025, Our House, located at 420 Adelphia Road, Farmingdale, New Jersey. Tickets are $45, available at Eventbrite. We will see you there.
Earthling Entertainment special report. I got nothing. This has been an Earthling Entertainment special report.
Calling all comic fans, it's time to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics, where the freshest new issues, graphic novels, and manga hit the shelves every week. Whether you're looking for the hottest new series or the latest small press sensation, we've got it all. Every genre for every age, Green Brain Comics is your one-stop shop for all things graphic storytelling. Got questions? Our friendly staff knows their stuff. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the world of comic, we've got recommendations that'll keep you coming back for more. And don't forget to check out our special events. Green Brain Comics is not just a store, it's a community. Located in East Downtown Dearborn, we are at Green Brain Comics on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Shop online at greenbraincomics.com, and remember to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics.
It's true, you made it through to the second half of the show.
Thank you, random annoying voice. And he is correct. We are now ushered into, officially, the second half of the show.
Yay!
So, what we normally do in the second half is all pop culture and entertainment, but considering that we are a bottle episode and we're focused solely on voodoo, we're going to have a little fun here. So, first, we got a music mumbles.
Because, yeah, you can't talk about voodoo and not talk about some music.
Absolutely. Then we have a fun trivia game where we're going to challenge Ryan Lang in his knowledge of voodoo in pop culture.
I'm going to ace it. I'm going to do so good.
Well, I wonder how you at home will do, Tell us, email us at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com and tell us how many you got right on this week's test.
Or you could always hit us up on our Facebook.
Or Instagram. Then, our final thing is we have another Tattered Tales. This Tattered Tales is called Doggone It. And I wrote this one. It's a lot of fun. It's about zombies. And since zombies can trace their origins back to voodoo, ties into our whole episode.
That's right.
And that's it, guys. So strap in to part 2. And we're going to start out with...
Music Mumbles.
From voodoo to jazz. This comes to us from AmericanGhostWalks.com and VoodooFun.wordpress.com. In addition to films and books, false perceptions of voodoo have made their way to the radio, as several acclaimed pop stars have used the term in demeaning ways. The Spice Girls, the biggest girl band of the 1990s, wrote a song called Voodoo, which to them was a synonym for magic.
All right, now, Ryan, you got to sing it.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember this song. Get up and use your voodoo. Get your booty to the floor. Gotta get 'em up, left, right, don't stop, and leave 'em wanting more. Oh, oh! That was the best I could do.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Considering you didn't know the song, I don't know. I give it a B. Well done. B.
Sweet. Passing grade. Many artists have reference to voodoo by using the term hoodoo, such as Muse and David Bowie. Bowie, the godfather of dance music, sang Magic Dance with the lyrics, "You remind me of the babe. What babe? The babe with the power. What power? The power of hoodoo." I never knew that's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then he's you do. That's
Yeah.
right. Wow, I never knew that's what he said. That's funny. Pop, because that one I knew. Pop stars aside, the true spirit of voodoo, some say, lies in the Louisiana bayou. New Orleans is a place where history, mystery, music, and the supernatural mix together to create an unforgettable atmosphere. Whether you're wandering through the French Quarter, listening to the soulful sounds of a jazz band, or stepping into a dimly lit voodoo shop, you can feel the deep cultural blend that makes this city so special. But how did New Orleans become the city it is today? The answer lies in its unique mix of African, French, Spanish, and Caribbean influences, which have shaped some of the most fascinating traditions in the United States. From the rhythmic beats of jazz to the mysterious practices of voodoo, New Orleans embraces its diversity in ways that are as captivating as they are haunting.
Ooh.
New Orleans is often credited as the birthplace of jazz, a genre that emerged in the early 20th century as a mix of African rhythms, blues, ragtime, and brass band music. The city's diverse cultural landscape played a crucial role in shaping this new sound. African American musicians drew inspiration from their heritage, incorporating call and response singing, improvisation, and syncopated rhythms into their performances. One of the most legendary figures of New Orleans jazz is Louis Armstrong, whose innovative trumpet playing and distinctive voice helped define the genre. To this day, the city remains a hotspot for jazz lovers, with venues like Preservation Hall and Frenchman Street keeping the tradition alive. Whether you're enjoying a live brass band performance on a street corner or attending the annual New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, the city's musical heartbeat is impossible to ignore.
Ooh. I've never been to New Orleans. I really want to go.
I
Have you
want to
been?
go so bad.
I just remember when we were, I believe it was high school, when it was Hurricane Katrina almost completely took out the city.
Dude.
And for a while there, it didn't. We didn't know if New Orleans would survive, like at all.
Well, right.
And
It was devastating.
I remember being worried I would never be able to see it.
It's it's because it's such a low level, right? It's under sea level. That's the problem. Is New Orleans is under sea level, so whenever anything major happens, it floods.
Well, you know all those creepy cemeteries that have the coffins above ground,
Yes,
and the reason why they're above ground is because the same thing. Their water table is so high.
that literally bodies used to run down the street, so that's how they fixed it. I actually found an article on that. That was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to go to New Orleans really bad, but the jazz, the music, everything that comes out of that place is it's just dripping in flavor, if you know what I mean. It's just culturally so vibrant.
Oh yeah, I don't think I ever want to go to Mardi Gras or anything major
I
like that.
do.
I don't know if I want to do that.
I want to go less now than I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, man. It kind of seems like fun. Do you think it was how it was portrayed to us as kids? Do you think it really is just beads and boobs?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just booze, beads, and boobs.
Oh, well. Oh, jazz music.
Jazz music too, of
Yeah.
course. But yeah, no, you can't. I think it's like an open drink thing too. I think you just walk down the street drinking.
Oh.
And they don't give a care.
Fair enough.
So
There was one thing I would never do in New Orleans, though, is a trip into the bayou. Can you imagine like being on a canoe in a swamp?
well, no, not where there's just monsters below you. I'm glad that we don't live where there's alligators. Like because I like being able to go to the water and not worry about a monster coming out.
Well, it's when I think of jazz music, I think of old timey films because that's just kind of where my head goes. So I'm imagining being in the bayou. I'm
Yeah.
imagining on
All
a
right, I'm there.
canoe.
Yeah.
I'm imagining an alligator come out and eating me.
Oh.
I'm getting torn up. I'm
Oh,
getting
God.
thrown under the water.
Joe.
And in the background is just this trumpet
No.
like. And
Well-
maybe that's why I'm a little afraid of jazz music, man. I think it's the soundtrack to my death. I think it is the
Oh.
soundtrack to my death. It's yet to happen, or at least in another life. Maybe I was a character out there and I got eaten, but it's sunk into my subconscious somehow.
Well, speaking of interesting soundtracks, I actually have a album which is near and dear to me from an artist that is near and dear to me. King Diamond did an album called Voodoo.
Ooh, please do tell.
Voodoo is the 8th studio album by Danish heavy metal band King Diamond, released on the 24th of February, 1998. Voodoo takes place in the year 1932 and deals with the affairs of the Lafayettes, a family consisting of Sarah, who is pregnant, David, and Grandpa. They move to an old colonial house on the Mississippi River just north of Baton Rouge, which also happens to have been built next to a voodoo graveyard.
I mean, we told them in the city planning office, but they just wouldn't listen.
Unknown to the Lafayettes, the colonial house's servant, Salem, is involved in voodoo. Salem partakes in voodoo rituals at the graveyard along with Dr. LaCroix, a voodoo sorcerer, Madame Sarita, and Lula Chabelaire, a girl who is never seen.
Well, I mean,
No, and I remember, yeah, you hear her. She's like a disembodied voice. You never actually, you hear her voice in the album. King
oh.
Diamond albums are like listening to a play. Like the whole album is a concept from beginning to end. It tells a complete story. Like it's amazing. The Lafayettes hear the voodoo drums from the ceremonies in the graveyard. They call a secret meeting with Salem to discuss what should be done. The Lafayettes decide to destroy the voodoo burial ground. Salem does not want this to happen, so he sneaks out at midnight to talk to Dr. LaCroix. LaCroix gives Salem money to buy some goofer dust and tells him that the Lafayettes must all die.
Is goofer dust a real thing?
I was honestly,
Like,
King Diamond
did he
is,
make that up, or is it like an actual? Because I know there's a powder that the voodoo priestess do use that kind of puts you in a zombified state. Is that what it's called?
It must be.
Huh.
Honestly, King Diamond's usually pretty spot on with when he's doing things like this. So Salem puts a snake in David's room, mixes haunted graveyard dirt in Grandpa's food, and after talking to the dead Baron Samadi, pours goofer dust on Sarah while she sleeps. David and Grandpa become very ill, and Sarah becomes possessed with a voodoo spirit. Grandpa manages to call Father Malone, an exorcist. Father Malone travels to the colonial house to rid Sarah of her possessor. He fails and is rendered unconscious from exhaustion. While he is unconscious, Lula brings in a heavy, nail-riddled ceremonial cross of Baron Samadi to the possessed Sarah. Sarah attacks Malone with the cross, almost killing him. Grandpa comes in and tells Sarah to stop, and she does, which saves Father Malone's life. Grandpa calls the police and ambulance, which arrives 2 hours later. The story concludes with Salem speaking about the aftermath of the situation, which also reveals that he escaped the events of the mansion. He explains that the Lafayettes abandoned the old colonial house after leaving the hospital. Sarah's child was born, and it was speaking in strange tongue, backwards. Some expert had uttered the word voodoo.
Very creepy. Cool album story, definitely.
Very cool. And what was interesting is there was a little aftermath where the police were talking. They're like, why were they talking about they were talking about a guy named Salem. Salem, the caretaker, he died 200 years ago.
Oh, that was a little epilogue they put at the end of the album?
Yeah.
Nice. You know, through that whole story, there was just one thing I couldn't get past, Ryan. And that's, I don't understand how you were able to feed Grandpa grave dirt.
Just put it in his food.
No, have you ever eaten dirt? It's not like it dissolves in food, man. It stays very coarse because, like, I cook with a lot of mushrooms, and once in a while, you don't wash the mushrooms as well as you should have, and you get like a grain of some kind of dirt or sand. And I always immediately know it's not like it would dissolve. So if you were gonna put a bunch of grave dirt in this dude's food, what are you eating that he doesn't notice this?
It does specify that it's haunted graveyard dirt. So maybe because it's haunted.
Because it's spooky graveyard dirt.
It's
You won't
spooky
notice.
dirt.
I don't know, Ryan. I can just imagine this grandpa being overly polite, just being like, damn, they can't cook worth shit.
Like, wow, it's worse
Dirt
than
in my
ever.
food. Like,
God.
overly polite grandpa. That should be the sequel to King Diamond's next album. It'll be a sequel to this one, and it'll just be called Overly Polite Grandpa. And
That's right.
only people in the know will really get the reference, Ryan.
And I love how he like is just grandpa. Like they literally didn't give him a name. I'm not that's so serious. That's how it is. And I love it because that's just how King rolls. Like in Welcome Home, he's got Grandma, welcome home. He just loves just grandmas and grandpas.
Fair enough.
King Diamond.
Well,
Creepy.
it is true. Once you get to that age, you just no longer become a person, and
Yeah.
you are now just a title.
That's I mean pretty much right.
Call
But,
me grandfather.
but
Isn't your name John? Not anymore.
just grandpa. I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
too.
But yeah, no. So like we said, you can't talk about voodoo and not talk about music. And there's just so many influences that we could have covered. But that was good little music mumbles, Joe.
It was a good music mumbles, but the real question is, Ryan, are you ready for what comes next?
What? Well, that depends.
Well, I think it's time for another pop culture quiz.
Yeah, I'm
T-
ready.
You ready to play the game? How many do you think you'll get right this time? Once again, 10 questions, man.
I'll get 11 right
You'll get
Out of-
11 right.
out of 10.
Perfect.
All right.
Let's do this.
Pop culture voodoo quiz. Whenever voodoo has been used in fiction, it has been portrayed as a satanic element used to perpetuate evil doing. Children's cartoons have been riddled with voodoo stereotypes. In The Princess and the Frog, the antagonist is an evil witch who uses voodoo and her needle-penetrated dolls to spread affliction upon the world.
Now
It-
you know how to make those.
Uh-oh. In Scooby-Doo, the mystery gang goes on an adventure to Spooky Island where odd, magical events occur. Things go awry when this antagonist starts to cast voodoo spells and creepy rituals.
I will say that Scooby-Doo movie is the quintessential Scooby-Doo movie in my head. It came out in 1998, I believe, so I don't know if it was just the right time in my life or it was just better production value, but Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, swear to God, that is the pinnacle of Scooby-Doo cartoons. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because Ryan has no opinion, because he doesn't like Scooby-Doo because he is dead inside.
I am. It's true. For a long time, I have been. So due to the presence of American forces in Haiti in the early 1900s, many American writers depicted a childish perception of voodoo. Britain W.B. Seabrook, considered an enlightened man for his time, penned the bestseller Magic Island, which showed Haiti complete with black magic and a zombie apocalypse. The book set off a chain of low-budget films that fed off the zombie hysteria, such as the 1940 film White Zombie. While traditionally incorrect, the image of voodoo in media has never been the same since. And now, join us as we jump into the culture that pops with our voodoo quiz game.
Ryan, are you ready? Because we're about to give you 10 multiple choice questions about voodoo in pop culture. And I'm betting you only get 3 correct.
I'm going to get them all right.
Number 1. Which horror movie slasher's creation was a result of voodoo magic, specifically the Damballa chant? Is it A, Freddy Krueger, B, Annabelle, C, Chucky, or D, Art the Clown?
Ade due dembala. Give me the power, I beg of you, said Chucky.
That is correct!
That's right. There's 1, 9 to go.
9 to go. I mean, that one was kind of a given.
That was a given.
I wanted to start you off with kind of an easy one. Let's see if
Before
you know.
he just pummels me into the ground.
A little.
Number 2.
In what 1974 blaxploitation film did the protagonist Diana use voodoo magic to unleash zombie vengeance on a group of evil gangsters? Is it A, Sugar Hill, B, Night of the Voodoo, C, Dead Vengeance, or D, Blackula?
I'm going to go with Blackula.
It's
Ah.
actually A, Sugar Hill.
I almost said that because I'm like, it sounds like a like the right title.
Yeah, it seems like a 1974 title, does it not?
Yeah. Ah. That's all right. I'll get the rest.
All right, I bet you will.
Number 3.
When did the comic book superhero Voodoo, aka Priscilla Kenton, get first introduced in DC Comics? A. Uncanny X-Men number 3, September 2024. B. Wildcats number 1, August 1992. C. Cyberfrog number 4, January 1996. Or D. Avengers 304, February 1989.
I want to go with the frog one.
Cyberfrog is incorrect,
Dang.
but it actually is one of my favorite comics, I will say, from the 90s. Very gory. No,
Cool.
the answer is Wildcats number 1, August 1992.
I wouldn't have guessed Wildcats because I don't know why. I just thought frog, voodoo, kind of maybe.
Yeah. Well, the character's name is Voodoo, so to
Gotcha.
me it rings X-Men. So if I was to have guessed, I would have went with the Uncanny X-Men number 3, which also would have been wrong.
I almost went Avengers too.
Well, there you go. Number 4. Voodoo is a 1995 American horror film directed by who?
Ugh.
A. Ari Sandel.
Huh.
B. John Schnepp.
Oh, him.
C. Joe Dante.
Love that guy.
Or D. Renee Erm.
Totally Renee Erm.
That is correct.
You got to be kidding.
No, you nailed it.
Yes. I'm a big fan.
Clearly. Did you watch Voodoo? Was that on your slumber party bucket list every time?
I want to say I saw while I was researching, I think I saw like maybe the cover to it.
I bet you did. Number 5. The online streaming app that houses your digital media is called Voodoo, but was recently bought by another company, and they changed the name to Blank at Home. What was that company? A. Moviephone. B. Redbox. C. Fandango. Or D. AMC.
Oh, and what was bought? What was the
So, the online streaming app titled Voodoo was bought by a company and renamed the company name Blank at Home.
Oh, I know this. I want to say I'm going to go off on a limb because I know I think they just went out, so I'm going to go with Redbox at Home.
I'm sorry. The correct answer is Fandango.
That was going to be my second guess because I use Fandango.
That's right. And that Voodoo app is now titled Fandango at Home.
Dang, I should have got that.
So, Ryan, now that you've made it halfway through the game, how well do you think you've done?
Great.
You have 2 correct and 3 wrong.
And to be fair, the one that I got correct, I guessed.
Well, maybe you can guess again with
Number 6.
what song was used by Dave Bautista when he was wrestling in the Ohio Valley in 2000 and 2002? Is it A, Voodoo by Godsmack, 1999? B, Voodoo by Black Sabbath from Mob Rules in 1981? C, Voodoo by Frank Ocean in 2012? Or D, Voodoo by Ghost Town from Party in the Graveyard in 2013?
I want to go with the second one.
Voodoo by Black Sabbath on their Mob Rules album, 1981.
Yeah.
No, it was actually Voodoo by Godsmack.
I thought that was too obvious, and I was just like, that doesn't sound like a good intro music because it's kind of slow.
You might be right, but nonetheless, he did use it, and I could have made there be an entire alphabet worth of answers that all started with Voodoo. Do you know how many people have named a song Voodoo?
Oh, very, very a lot.
Like 20 artists over this time. So, Ryan, I'm sorry, but you actually did not get that one right.
Loser.
Number 7. What city is home to the arena football team, the Voodoo? Is it A, Boulder, Colorado, B. Jacksonville, Florida. C. Salem, Massachusetts. Massachusetts. I don't know. I stumbled there.
You're good.
Or D. New Orleans, Louisiana.
I mean, it's got to be New Orleans.
That is correct.
Yay! That's right. 3 right.
You-
That's right.
This may be your worst game ever, Ryan.
I love it.
Well, you know what I love? The film that is the subject matter for
Number 8.
In the film Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, Penelope Cruz's character has a voodoo doll of what pirate? Is it A. Blackbeard, B. Barbossa, C. Captain Jack Sparrow, or D. Mr. Gibbs?
I think it was. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen this movie in so long.
I'll give you a hint. This appears in the after credit scene.
I'm going to say Gibbs.
No, I'm sorry. It was Captain Jack Sparrow.
Once again, seemed too obvious.
Yeah, well, you know what, Ryan? Maybe you should start picking the obvious answers. That's all I'm saying. Number 9.
All right, here we go.
What season of American Horror Story heavily features voodoo? Is it A, Season 8, Apocalypse, B, Season 2, Asylum, C, Season 5, Hotel, or D, Season 3, Coven?
Coven.
Ooh, that is correct.
I
You
actually
done
saw that one. I did see that season. That was a good one.
That
was a
is
good
a good one. All right, can this winning streak keep up?
That's
Ryan,
right.
you
Can I
have-
get 50%?
You have one final question.
This is it.
Number 10.
What actress stars in the 2005 horror film The Skeleton Key? Is it A, Kate Beckinsale, B, Kate Hudson, C, Katie Holmes, or D, Kate Winslet?
Of course, you had to deal with all Kates, too. You're. Say them again.
A, Kate Beckinsale, B, Kate Hudson, C, Katie Holmes, or D, Kate Winslet?
I don't know why, but I really don't know. But I'm gonna throw a guess. Kate Hudson.
Oh, that is correct.
No, yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's right. I'm
So-
that meme with the guy like breaking out the champagne at the as the loser, like yeah.
You know, Ryan, 50% of the time, you're right 100% of the time.
That makes no sense.
So yeah, not bad. Like I was telling you before the show, voodoo and pop culture was kind of a weird thing to make a game with. So like there was some that I felt were obvious, like the Chucky one.
Yeah.
And then we had some that were just like so obscure. Like I love comic books, and I didn't have any idea about the character Voodoo's origin comic.
Not a clue.
Yeah, that one was a tough one.
That's why I would just went with what title seems to work kind of with, and I'm like frogs kind of remind, but maybe that's just because the Princess and the Frog kind of like mixed in for me.
Oh,
That's where, I think that's where my head went.
I just picked Cyberfrog because I looked around my library and saw a framed comic of Cyberfrog and was like, all right, that'll be a possible answer.
Of course you did, Joe.
Of course I did. So how did you guys at home do? Did you do better than Ryan? Maybe your voodoo knowledge was through the roof. Maybe you only got one right. Why don't you tell us by emailing us at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com. You could also hit us up on our Facebook and Instagram.
And how?
Now, for our final segment of today's show, another Tattered Tales audio drama.
Excellent.
So, for those of you who don't know, Tattered Tales is kind of like Twilight Zone. We have self-contained audio dramas that range between 10 or 20 minutes. And it's, like I said, self-contained story, usually of sci-fi spookiness. This one is about a zombie apocalypse, which I mentioned ties right into our voodoo theme.
That's right. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear this one because I always enjoy Tattered Tales. It's really cool to listen to. They do all the sound effects and the music, and it's just so well written. I wonder who that guy is.
Well, Ryan, it's actually me. I wrote this episode. So you're welcome, I guess.
Good
But
to see
couldn't
you.
have done it without a lot of help. So basically, our good friend Luke Fisher does all the sound design, all the post audio. He's the audio wizard behind it. It's produced by Lizzie Anna Wakefield and myself. And it has a great cast.
Like Danny Michael Miller, who plays Zach, Hannah Christensen as the narrator, Lorenzo Darden as the U.S. president. Then, of course, our friend Michael J. Renda as Tom, Lizzie Anna Wakefield as Joyce, which is your lovely wife.
Yeah.
Brittany Goldman is the news anchor, and Joe Wakefield as a bar patron.
Yep. And so, guys, sit back and enjoy.
On a dark and stormy night, the last night, 20-year-old Zach Jones sits in his treehouse fortress. It was constructed by Zach's father when Zach was only 10 years old. Since then, it has been modified, fortified, and otherwise made livable to some extent or another.
It's okay, Patches. It's just the thunder. There aren't any monsters down there. Right now.
Zach rummages through his treehouse home, looking for a pad of paper and a pen. Only a moment or two into his search, Zach trips and falls, flat on his face. Patches waddles over to him and licks his face. Zach groans in pain before looking over to see what caused him to tumble over. It is, of course, the old hotel safe he scavenged a day earlier. He gets to his feet and finds what he was looking for. Zach moves to the old Jeep car seat he liberated from the dump a few years back and plops down. Patches runs over and immediately sits on his lap. Zach lets out a sigh before beginning to write.
June 14th, 2000 and... Hold on. This is stupid. Why am I starting with the date? That really doesn't matter at all. Of course, nothing matters. Nothing has mattered for about as long as I can remember. My entire life has been nothing but a practice in futility anyway. Look, I'm going to cut to the chase. This is a zombie story. I know. You've heard it all before. Nothing new under the sun when it comes to an undead apocalypse. Except, my story is a little different. Most zombie stories are about how it all began. My story is about how it all ends.
Hey man, what's
9 years
up?
ago.
Good to see you, man. How you been? Come in. Can I get a refill? Thanks.
My fellow Americans, and anyone else around the world who may be viewing this online, it's my solemn regret that I have to be the one to reveal this awful news to the world. I hope you'll all allow me to indulge my humanity and speak very candidly to you.
Hey, quiet! Hey, quiet down! Something's happening.
It seems our greatest fears have come to meet us at our door. An asteroid the size of Hawaii is on a collision course with our planet. The impact will take place on July 23rd, give or take a few weeks, 9 years from now. It is my hope that industry and world leaders will band together in this time and try and save what we can of our world. The fact of the matter is, we simply don't possess the technology to prevent this cataclysm. I wish I could tell you that there was a secret government space program trained and equipped for just this incident.
I have to call my mom.
But regrettably,
I have to call my mom
this isn't a work of fiction concocted by Hollywood. No, we need to all prepare ourselves for what's coming.
All around the world, people listened and began to understand the severity of the US president's words. Every man, woman, and child on the planet collectively let out a silent cry in mourning of the inevitable demise of the Earth.
When I first was informed about this, I found myself thinking about all the time we could have spent advancing our world for the better. Instead, we wasted it fighting each other, scheming, plotting, trying to get ahead, Who has the most money? Who has the most oil? We failed each other. Because, like it or not, we are facing the end together.
Well, I guess that's it. That was an address from President Wheeler with some grave news.
My mother, Joyce, turned off the television.
What are we gonna do, Tom?
It will be okay, Joyce. It'll be okay.
At age 11, I wasn't 100% sure of what was going on. But I knew it was a big deal, and that my parents were scared. My father hugged my mother as she cried on his shoulder. I wasted no time joining the embrace. Both of my parents threw an arm around me. We all squeezed each other tightly. The sound of a puppy barking from the other room immediately drew my attention. I looked into the direction from where it came, and then back at my father with a big smile on my face. He smiled back. He let go of our family and walked over to an adjacent room. He returned seconds later holding a small puppy in his arms. I was overjoyed at the sight of my new pet. Is he mine?
Yeah, he sure is, kiddo. His name's Patches, but you can change it if you want.
No way! Patches is perfect!
Happy birthday, Zach.
I immediately started playing with my new puppy. The drama was all but forgotten by the arrival of my new friend. Tom took the opportunity to pull my mother to the side to continue their conversation.
I'm scared, Tom.
I am too, but this isn't the end. We'll prepare. Maybe we can make a bomb shelter or something. At the very least, we can gather supplies. We have time. We still have time.
Unbeknownst to anyone at the time, the president actually did leave a few things out. His advisors had hope holding back a bit might do something to minimize the worldwide panic. There's no way of knowing whether or not informing the public would have done any good, because ultimately, there wasn't anywhere to hide. While it was true the Earth-killing asteroid wouldn't reach our planet for 9 years, it would be preceded by an onslaught of smaller meteors. Rocks began falling from the sky about a month after the president's address. It caused destruction beyond anything ever seen before, looking more like biblical fire and brimstone than an astrological event. This only led credence to those religious fundamental groups popping up everywhere since the announcement. But the real horror was still yet to come. I remember being scared. My dad told me there was nothing to worry about. That all the rocks were falling other places. Looking back, I know he wasn't just trying to do what fathers do in terrible situations. He was trying to make me feel better. And he did. For a while. Suddenly, the loud shattering sound of broken glass woke me up. I remember I was about 12 then. At first, I wasn't sure if I was still having a nightmare. I had a lot of nightmares back then. But before I could dismiss the ruckus, the sound of my parents screaming rooted me firmly in reality. The sound must have scared Patches too, because he quickly tunneled under the covers and cuddled up near my chest. I hugged him tightly while I listened to the commotion outside my room.
Hey, who are you? Get out of here! Tom! Tom, someone's breaking in!
Hey, stop! I said stop! I have a gun!
Tom, shoot him! Is he dead?
I think so.
Patches and I hid under the covers. I remember closing my eyes tightly while listening to my mother and father being ripped apart.
Oh my god.
Then, there was nothing. The fight, for better or worse, was over. I waited for a few seconds before peeking out. The room was dark, the door was shut, and in my heart, I knew my parents were dead. Mom? Dad? Is that you? I wasn't sure what to do. I held my breath while I waited for a response. Finally, one came.
Zach?
Daddy! I was so excited to hear his voice, I almost leapt out of bed. Patches, on the other hand, remained apprehensive.
No. Stay away, Zach. Okay.
I did as I was told and stayed put.
Do you remember the go bag your mother and I made you pack?
Yeah, just in case everything goes bad.
That's right, son. I need you to take the bag. Go to the tree fort, hide. I'll meet you there as soon as I can, Dad? Okay, bud? All right, just do it, Zachary.
No other idea of what to do. I complied. I got up and headed to my closet to retrieve the bag. On my way, I looked over at my father, who was silhouetted by the light coming in from the hallway. For the briefest of seconds, I thought I could see my dad holding a large wound on his neck with cupped hands. Blood seeped through my father's fingertips and dripped rhythmically on the carpet below him.
It's okay, Zach, it's okay. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Please.
I nodded my head before turning back to the task at hand. I searched through the closet and in no time pulled out the bag full of food and survival gear my parents helped me put together. I instinctively wanted to run to my father and give him a hug, but Dad stopped me.
No. Stay where you are. Stay where you are.
I don't understand.
You have to, just
What's happening?
Stay back, okay?
Tears welled up in my eyes, but instead of responding, my father started to involuntarily twitch. Dad? Unrecognizable, guttural sounds started to emerge from my dad's torn throat. I began to back up towards my bedroom window. Patches joined me as he retreated. I didn't know it then, but my father was changing. Soon he would be just another zombie. One of the first, but ultimately, still just a number added to the growing legion of the undead worldwide.
Go!
I did. In no time, I was out of my bedroom window. I ran into the woods with Patches in hand. The treehouse was a 9-mile hike up the mountain. Despite my young age and everything that just transpired, I made it to my destination. What I didn't know then was the cosmic radiation from all those meteors hitting Earth had somehow begun to reanimate the bodies of anyone killed from that point on. Turns out George A. Romero was right. The world ended up being a classic case of life imitating art. Well, I guess that's it. I just wanted some kind of record of what happened. You know, just in case. I really don't think the safe I'm putting this letter in is going to survive the impact. I am gonna bury it. Hopefully that'll do something. I read in a book once that the Dead Sea Scrolls were found by a couple of kids throwing stones into a cave. I don't remember if it was Ethiopia or Turkey or whatever. Regardless, the kids heard a clay pot shatter, and that's how they knew something was down there. Turns out it was a bunch of ancient writings thousands of years old. So, you never know. Maybe this will survive. My name is Zachary Jones. I lived.
As if Patches instinctively knew his owner was through with his task, the small dog places 2 paws on Zach's chest and licks his face.
What? Too dramatic? Look, I know it's silly, but this is important. If I actually manage to save some kind of record of what happened here, my life will actually have a point. That's all I want. That safe and this note are the only things that matter now.
Zach places the notebook into the safe and locks the door.
I know we're of 2 different minds about this, but you don't have to make me feel like an idiot. We've been through this. Criticism is fine, but we're looking for constructive criticism. What? You lick your mother with that mouth?
Zach smiles. Suddenly, lightning strikes on a nearby tree, severing one of its branches from the trunk. As the branch falls, it gets tangled up among its peers, causing a heavy end to swing like a battering ram into the side of Zach's treehouse. A massive hole is created in the wall where the branch struck. Several of Zach's things, including the hotel safe, fall out of the treehouse and land on the ground below. Patches panics. His fight or flight response prompts him to leap out of the treehouse to avoid danger. Patches manages to make it down safely so quickly that Zach barely registers it.
Patches! No, Patches, it's not safe!
Without thinking, Zach exits the safety of his home and heads out into the storm after his dog.
Patches?
Through the rain and wind, Zach manages to just make out Patches running into the trees. Without a second thought, he bolts after him. As he sprints through the trees, an involuntary memory pops into Zach's head. 5 years ago. Zach could only cry while the moans of the zombie below echoed through the forest. It was his father, Tom. He was sure of it. It's true the 3 years hadn't been kind to Mr. Jones's once recognizable face. The decay and the moisture of the climate had done their work. It was the clothes. He was wearing the same clothes. That's something Zach would never forget. What his dad looked like the night he fled from his home. It had taken his father a while to find the hidden treehouse, but he finally kept his promise. Whatever was left of that monster's mind still registered enough to remember. He met his son there, just like he said he would, there to collect on a bill that was due years ago. Finally, Zach couldn't take it anymore. He got up and headed over to a pile of random junk he scavenged from the local dump. He picked up a chipped black bowling ball and headed over to the small one-person balcony that looked over the forest.
Hey! Hey, you!
The zombie that was once his father stumbled closer to the treehouse. As soon as he was within firing range, Zach dropped the bowling ball down on top of him. The impact made quick work of Tom's already decomposing skull. There was no doubt. The zombie will no longer be a problem. All that's left was a pile of flesh and a memory.
I'm sorry! I'm sorry, Dad. Why did you have to come here?
Zach collapsed onto the floor of the treehouse. There was nothing he could do but bawl his eyes out. Soon, Patches walked over and laid down against Zach's body. Another eruption of tears began flowing from his face as he grabbed his dog and hugged him tightly.
I love you, Patches. You're all I have left. Promise you'll never leave. I want you with me until the end. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being my dog. Thank you for being with me. I'll keep you safe. You'll be okay. Until it's all over.
Patches licked his face. Zach's arrival at the marsh snaps him back into the present.
Patches!
The thunderstorm finally subsides as he surveys his surroundings. Zach looks for any sign of Patches. There was nothing but swampland. A couple-mile stretch of knee-high mud covering the area. A few sinister-looking trees sparsely grow out at various spots around the swamp. But for the most part, it was just a sea of dirty muck and water. Zach turns toward the sound and is overwhelmed with joy when he sees Patches struggling through the marsh only a couple 100 feet away.
Patches!
Unfortunately for both of them, the sound of Patches barking alerted the unseen enemies below. Like something out of a nightmare, half-decaying limbs begin popping out of the marsh from every direction. It seems that over time, more than a couple wandering zombies got stuck in the mud and have been lying dormant, just waiting for their chance to fresh meat. Like a macabre undead minefield. Every zombie within a few feet of Patches begins reaching for the poor animal. A couple, a bit farther off, have actually managed to move closer. The draw of a fresh meal giving their dead limbs strength where they would otherwise remain entombed. Without even thinking, Zach runs straight into the mud to rescue Patches. He struggles with every inch of his body to make it to his dog before he's killed by the undead closing in on him. As Zach moves closer, the barks grow louder and more desperate. Zach is so distracted by the idea of rescuing Patches that he completely ignored his surroundings as he moved. A recently trapped zombie was lying dormant just beside him and is now heading in for an attack. All Zach has time to do is throw his arm up in an attempt to block the zombie. Unfortunately, all he ended up doing was feeding the zombie his hand. With lightning-fast speed, the bite severs his pinky finger. Despite the pain, Zach quickly whips his other arm and grabs the zombie by the back of the head. He then pushes down with all his might, driving the zombie's face into the mud, eventually burying it completely. Once he's sure the zombie is stuck and can't resurface, Zach turns his attention back to Patches. He is still safe. Patches is alive. Ignoring the pain and blood trickling out from where his finger used to be, he moves forward. Up until this point, Patches has been relatively safe. None of the surrounding zombies have been able to reach him, nor have the ones moving been able to make much progress. But now it looks like that is about to change. One of the zombies, only a few feet away, breaks free from the suction of the mud and starts making real progress toward the dog.
No! You get away from him!
The zombie closes in and scoops the small dog up. Patches, confused and afraid, watches as this abomination pulls him closer and closer to his death. The creature opens its mouth wide and brings Patches in for the death blow.
No!
A split second before the zombie bites into Patches. The meal is quickly replaced by a sufficient substitute. The zombie sinks its teeth into the flesh. Zack made it just in time to save Patches. With no concern for himself, he rips his arm out of the zombie's mouth. The monster takes chunks of meat with him as he falls back into the mud. Zack picks up Patches and turns back the way he came. He follows the exact same path in order to avoid any more zombie attacks while he heads out of the swamp. It takes Zack a considerably longer amount of time to get home than it did to get to the swamp. He stumbles in right before dawn, with Patches still in his arm. He looks at the ruins of his treehouse home in awe. A moment passes before he notices the hotel safe lying on the ground. He looks down at Patches, cradled in his arm. Zack's other arm, now missing a chunk of flesh and a pinky, dangles lifelessly to his side.
Okay. But don't go running off again.
Zack puts Patches down on the ground. The dog happily roams about the area, staying nearby. Zack walks over to a shovel leaning up against the tree trunk of his fort. Then he stumbles back over to where the safe is and begins to dig. Zack struggles to get back into his treehouse. The safe has been buried. It only took him about an hour to complete the task. He would have been able to do it much faster if it wasn't for his festering arm. The wounds are infected, and Zack is clearly showing signs of changing. Soon, he'll be among the undead. With some effort, Zack gets himself into a sitting position, facing the gigantic hole in the wall made just hours earlier. Patches soon joins him on his lap. At that moment, framed by the hole in the wall, the sun begins to rise. It was as if divine intervention positioned it just for him. A solo witness to the last dawn. Zack's eyes have almost completely clouded over now. Still, the sunrise shine brightly enough to make his last thoughts of hope. Patches licks the wound on his arm.
Thank you for spending your life with me. I love you. Mwah. Mwah.
Zack kisses Patches on the top of his head before returning his attention to the sunrise. From somewhere behind them, from thousands of miles away, the asteroid strikes Earth. Zack and Patches ignore it. The two just stare off at the most beautiful sunrise they had ever seen as a wave of destruction barrels toward them.
Maybe this is the way it's supposed to.
All right, so that was a little bit of a rough ending there. Classic. Dying next to your best friend. Your loyal best friend.
Yeah, we never got to tell the full story of that dog, Patches, because that dog, when the meteor hits and that world is destroyed, the dog actually gets pulled into a outside dimension, and he kind of enters other stories, and with his other dog named Gary. And then, so anytime you hear Patches and Gary, this is the origin of Patches. It'll all tie together eventually, Ryan. Don't worry about it.
Oh, Gary.
Oh, Gary. So, guys, did you like this one? Did you like this bottle episode, our voodoo episode? We tried to make it fun. We tried to do interesting things. You got a couple more bottle episodes to go before we're back to our regular format. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. What'd you think, Ryan?
I think it was very mystical and magical, and I'm a little haunted by it, honestly.
I can't lie. This entire time, I'm just in the background dancing with snakes, so I do get it.
I mean, he's a cool snake.
Go, Joe. Go, Joe. Stabbing a voodoo doll to give people wealth and prophetic dreams. So, from all of us here at Earthling Entertainment, thanks for listening. Please hit that download button, and we'll see you next week.
We certainly will.